Hey guys, this is Graymouse 1. I'm currently in a unique position, being that I'm currently in Japan. And I actually got to see Shin Godzilla on release day over here on July 29th, 2016. So this movie is being produced by Toho Films. It's also the 31st Godzilla movie, 29th produced by Toho Films, and this is also the third reboot of the entire series. It's being directed by Hideki Anno and Shinji Higuchi. It was also written by Hideki Anno. The actors and the actresses in this movie is Satomi Ishihara. She is actually the actress that played in Attack on Titan as well. This is also the largest Godzilla ever, towering well over 300 feet. Just a huge, huge monster. The movie has been or will be released in the United States in 2016, late 2016, under the name Shin Godzilla. So they dropped the Godzilla Resurgence under at the request of Toho Toho Films. So I walked in there into the theater, and spoilers, by the way, it should be obvious. But I walked in the theater with no expectations, simply because of the last Godzilla movie that they put out wasn't very good. I didn't enjoy it. So anyway, I walk in, sitting down, the movie started to come on, and it jumped into the action pretty quickly. There was a boat on the water in Tokyo Bay that's been abandoned, and then all of a sudden, and then the Japanese Coast Guard comes and looks at the boat, boards it. All of a sudden, there's this huge spout of water coming up out of the ocean and onto the boat. Anyway, and then there was like a red goo type stuff. So anyway, as the movie progresses, I have to say that the movie is very long-winded. It's a lot of talking and not enough action from Godzilla, to be quite honest with you. But when the action does happen, it's everything you'd expect out of a Godzilla movie. So to go back on what I was saying, so they go back and, everybody starts, freaking out what in the world's causing all this mayhem, right? So as the story progresses, and as Godzilla moves towards the land, everybody starts freaking out. So at first, when we first see Godzilla, he's not in his normal form. He's more like a turtle type of thing. And what he does is he goes onto the land, and he comes around and makes a U-turn and goes back out. And then it's just this huge turtle just causing all kinds of destruction, destroying buildings and everything wide panic, what happened. And then the next time we see Godzilla, he actually has, when he's in that one particular form, he has this red goo that's coming out of all his gills and all this other stuff, right? So it's a big, huge mess, and he goes into the land, destroys everything in his path, and this big, huge freaking tail that's like 300 feet. The tail is huge, just back and forth, just knocking everything out, knocking over buildings, just total destruction. And then the Japanese government, they don't know what to do. So they wanted to start to get ready for his return, so to speak. So there's a long period where nothing really happens. It's a bunch of talk, trying to figure out what this is. Then Satomi Ishihara's character comes in, and she is a special envoy to the United States. And a lot of her parts, there's a lot of English-speaking parts for her. And it's been written, she's went on TV and stuff saying that was very difficult for her to do some of these English-speaking parts. So she brings up the idea that this is Godzilla. And then that started going around, and they, everybody's starting to go crazy. And then later on in the movie, Godzilla actually comes back on the land, and he actually stands up, and he has these little small little claw things the next time we see him. And one thing that I had critical critical, maybe not the word, more reserved, was the way his face looked. I didn't really, and all those teeth that was in his mouth. So I kind of understand after watching this the reason why they did that, because as more and more as he grew, because of the the nuclear toxic waste and stuff, and as he grew, he turned into Shin Godzilla. Everything was fine. He was just walking. Once he turned into Godzilla, the one that we know and love, as he was going rampaging through Tokyo, it wasn't too much destruction. I mean, there was a lot of destruction, but things didn't get really bad until the Japanese government decided to bring in help from the Americans. So the Americans got their B-2s, and they flew the B-2s out. In the meantime, the J-TIE, which is the Japanese Army and the Japanese Navy, they tried to hold Godzilla at bay pretty feebly with tanks and helicopters and everything they could throw out, anything less than a nuclear bomb going off, pretty much. So all these explosions, and he would just keep on walking. Godzilla would just keep on walking like nothing fazed him, which is the way it should be. Regular machine guns and freaking missiles and tanks and all that should not stop Godzilla. I'm sorry. No. So Japan and the J-TIE are trying their best to stop this thing from coming across to them. So they set up a boundary with all the tanks and the attack helicopters, and they threw everything at them. I mean, even the ships. They even went to the ships. They tried to launch these missiles at them. I mean, they threw everything at this guy, and he kept on walking. So they decided to bring in the B-2 American bombers, and so they came up over him, and his back was faced, right? So they dropped these big ass bombs onto his back. And when the bombs hit his back, it imploded. It looked like he actually got damaged because all the red shit started flying everywhere. And then oh my fucking God, all that did was piss the motherfucker off. Oh my God, he just went berserk. He screamed his roar screaming, and he did his thing, and then all of a sudden we see the nuclear stuff going off in his body. And he goes in and he just freaking lets loose his nuclear laser beam and just laid waste to every fucking thing in front of him. It was nothing. And then the little spikes in his back, they had these nuclear laser beams shooting out of it. I mean, it went out there and destroyed all the bombers and the B-2 bombers and everything, just laid total waste to everything. And then after his thing cooled off, I guess, so to speak, then he let loose a freaking flame. Just everything was burnt and lasered and chopped in half, and just total destruction. And then on all this has happened, he even used his fucking tail. There was lasers coming out of his fucking tail, and it was total destruction. Afterwards, after he stopped at that point, then it's like he, quote unquote, powered down, I guess is a better word for it. He just stopped and he went to sleep. So for that time that he went to sleep, that's when the Japanese government and the special envoy for U.S. Started talking like, hey, we need to evacuate the city, and what we're going to do is the only way that we can get rid of this guy is a nuclear bomb. So they were actually planning on detonating a nuclear bomb. in Tokyo. So they evacuated everybody, and there's these other guys in there that that was trying to figure out a better way of doing it besides doing a nuclear bomb. So, and as the research, they started doing the research, and they found where Godzilla was, quote unquote, hatched in the water next to the nuclear stuff that was underwater. And when he hatched, he pretty much ate the nuclear waste, and thus turned into this creature. Unfortunately, I felt that the ending was kind of anticlimactic, but that's just my opinion. Now, again, this movie was completely in Japanese. I have a big understanding of Japanese, but I mean, I could have, there might be some room for some mistranslation and such. But like I said, the good thing is that this movie will be coming out in the U.S. Late 2016, and it's going to be released by Funimation. Is the company that's going to be releasing this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it and subbed in English. But anyway, back to the movie. I really felt that it was anticlimactic because at that time they tried, since Godzilla's asleep now, they tried to come up with a way to destroy him. So what they end up doing is it's like a 4 or 5 phase attack on Godzilla. So what they did, they took all their trains and whatnot, because he actually stopped in the middle of kind of where all the train tracks are and all this stuff. So there was like 5 or 6, maybe 10 trains that they loaded bombs up onto the trains, just regular standard bombs, and they rammed. Phase 1, they rammed Godzilla with these bombs, right? And then the second stage was, since he was kind of still in the middle of the city, what they try to do is knock down the buildings on top of him, try to cover him, try to bury him under all the weight of the buildings, of the brick buildings and stuff. So to do that, they used the attack helicopters, and they pretty much took machine guns and cut these buildings in half. And pretty much, the building fell on the guy. So Godzilla reacted again with his death ray, his laser death ray, and just unfortunately helped them put more buildings on top of him. So he was finally pinned down in the building, and then they actually came up with a concoction of some kind of gas, chemical, or some kind of chemical that they figured out that, because they looked under some of the waste of Godzilla before. They looked at his DNA, and they found out what can stop him, that could kill him. It's like a biological weapon, I guess, so to speak. Because they were trying to figure out why Godzilla transformed from a platypus, I guess is a better name for it, into, this big 300-foot tall monster of destruction. So they figured they had the chemists create this liquid, and they had all these trucks come in. So they had Godzilla laying down pinned down underneath all these buildings, and they had these trucks that had these huge, pretty much like a fire truck with these big, huge, what do you want to call it, hoses attached to a tank of the poison, and they had these hoses running up into his mouth. So at first I was like, okay, what are they going to do? This is not going to work. He's going to be pissed off. And that's exactly what happened. He got pissed off after the shock of all that buildings and stuff falling down on him. And he stood up, and he freaking just lasered everything in his waist. But luckily that they had actual more trucks later. So he gets out of that first bind, and then he moves a little bit more, and he's attacking all these, Godzilla's killing all these other aircraft and all this other stuff. And then he walks into a really like a city, a bigger city where there's a lot more buildings around. So they did the same tactic. They used missiles and machine guns to chop these buildings in half. And what they did was the buildings fell down on top of them again. So they pinned Godzilla the second time, and they started running these hoses through him again. And then Godzilla again got pissed off again, and he stood up, right? And these tanks and stuff, or I'm sorry, these chemical trucks and stuff. So he stands up full 300 feet, and then you got the tanks all falling out of his mouth and all this stuff, and then suddenly he just turns to stone or a hard I don't know, a hard substance, and instantly kills him. And everybody is celebrating. At the very, very end of the movie, the special Enroy was talking to one of the main characters again, and you see the silhouette, or not the silhouette, the actual Godzilla out in the distance. And as the movie closes, it actually brings you up closer to Godzilla. It kind of does a pan. And then what was really peculiar was that it looked like human hands and human faces and stuff kind of coming out of his skin. So I don't know, maybe they're trying to set up a sequel for this. But all in all, it's pretty much what a Godzilla movie should be. All about destruction, lasers, fire breath, Japanese to J-Tai, all these guys trying to stop the guy, and there's no stopping this big, huge motherfucker. And it's completely different from the most recent one. And this actually has been received very very well here in Japan. It's been all over the TV. It's been all over the commercials. And I just felt that it was really nice for me to actually see Godzilla in Japan while I'm visiting Japan. And I just thought that was a unique position. And I felt really, really good that I had this unique opportunity to be here for this. I'm also looking forward to seeing it when it's released in 2016. Late 2016, and I'm pretty sure that me and the other middle-aged guys will see this movie and we'll review this movie together. So stay tuned to that. But anyway, I definitely give this movie about 7.5 to 8 out of 10, simply because, like I said, I thought that the initial build-up was good. Then there's a huge, maybe it's because I didn't understand the full context of it, because like I said, I'm watching it in Japanese. There's a huge dry spot. It's where it really slowed down to a crawl. But I understand the reason why. They had to build up. They had to explain why Godzilla's coming. And they had to explain, how to figure out how to kill it, or stop it for that matter. And then the ending, like I said, it was to me, it was kind of anticlimactic. I probably wanted to go in there as nothing other than a nuclear bomb is going to stop this guy. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just, so yeah, I give it a 7.5, and it's an 8. I definitely if you're a Godzilla fan and if you're a monster fan, and especially, this is the 31st Godzilla movie. So if you're a fan of Godzilla, definitely go see this movie when you have the opportunity to. And I thought it was good. And would I buy it on DVD? Probably. But yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to actually seeing it dubbed in English or subtitled. I prefer subtitled over dubbed, having the Japanese language audio and just have subtitles. I don't mind watching a movie in subtitles. I've done it before. So whether or not they dub it or they subtitle it, I'm really looking forward to seeing that in late 2016. And one thing too I forgot to mention is that in any monster or Godzilla movie, especially Godzilla movies, you have those corny perky type parts in the movie that you're like, you're like scratching your head. It's a Godzilla movie. So they didn't pussify Godzilla. I just go ahead and say that, which is definitely a plus. That motherfucker fucked some shit up. He really fucked up Tokyo. Tokyo was laid to waste, which is the way it should have been. But like I said, I wouldn't say killed, I'd say defeated Godzilla. To me, I felt that was a little anticlimactic. But that's just me. So anyway, this is just my real quick movie review of Shin Godzilla. If you have any comments or you want to contribute to this conversation, please, I welcome all comments down below. Please like or dislike this video, whatever. I'm not afraid of ratings. I'm not afraid of comments. I'm never turning them off, as always. I am always open for a conversation. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Anyway, this is until next time. This is Graymouse 1.